Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. We are reporting in from Mobile World Congress 2015, MWC in Barcelona as usual. And it's a big show. And I'm very pleased to be talking to Christoph Pfister, who is VP, Vice President, General Manager of the Business Service Management Unit at HP Software.
Absolutely.
Christoph, good to meet you. I've been enjoying our chat.
Great to meet you, and thanks for having me.
I've been enjoying our chat off camera before we started this now, and we'll go back over some of the things we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
It's a different slant on things because a lot of the stuff we talk about is technology based and quite heavy technology and business case sort of thing. This is slightly different for all sorts of reasons, and we get into that now. Now, we live in a mobile world, there can't be any denying of that. The number of phones, the number of tablets, and everything else out there. But what sort of an impact do you think mobility is having on the way businesses have to engage with their customers?
Absolutely, Martin. So, of course, mobile is profound, and the impact is profound. Just look around here.
Yeah.
What, 100,000 visitors at this show?
Yeah.
And so, there's about 50% of the world population that have a mobile supercomputer in their pocket now. And just this week, there was a cover in The Economist that said by 2020, there's going to be 80% of users who have a supercomputer in their pocket. And so with that come apps, plenty of apps. So in the app stores today, we get about 3 million or so apps. And with these apps come expectations of, hey, these need to be performant, they need to be available, and they need to provide a good user experience. Why is that? Because consumers have become both impatient and intolerant. And so as soon as something doesn't work their way, the way they want it, when they want it, there's a problem, and it has profound implications for businesses.
Okay, let's get into a bit more detail then, Christoph. What do you think the mobile consumers are looking for when they select an app from, say, the App Store or from Google Play or wherever?
Yeah, so we've done a study recently, looked at mobile users. And what they've come back with is, of course, they look at functionality first. First, they have, they need to have a need, needs to be fulfilled.
Sure.
But right after that comes, even before the price of the app, comes the fact that how has the app been rated in the App Store? And many times, and I look at me, and probably it's the same for you, if the app doesn't have a 5-star rating, or at least a 4-star, we're becoming cautious. And so we think that the user experience with the app drives the rating. And as a result of that, that's what people look for and look after, and it's a very important component of purchase. There's about, I think, 34% of the folks that use this as a criteria to select their applications. And if it's not my app or your app, then it's going to be somebody else's app, and that's a problem for business.
It's unusual to hear a senior manager talking about consumers as being intolerant and impatient. That is your genuine opinion, is it, as bolstered by the research you've been involved in?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what do you do about the fact they're becoming intolerant and impatient? You make them patient and you make them tolerant. How do you do it?
No, you provide apps that are meeting the need. And so when we've looked at this survey, clearly expectations have changed. If you look back at even 5-10 years ago, a web app, you could tolerate 10 seconds of response time. At least I could. I don't know about you. But today on the mobile ecosystem, that's completely changed. So we learned that 50% of mobile consumers, if the app doesn't respond within 2 seconds, they think it's a problem, right? And then even more so, if the app crashes, 53% of users, when the app crashes, will delete the app from their device. And of course, that has profound implications for businesses in terms of the revenue that they can generate, in terms of the brand image that might be tarnished because of that fact.
Well, I was going to say, given this level of impatience, and it did make me smile when I was talking to somebody earlier, and they said they give the app the finger, and I thought, but what they meant, of course, is they delete it
finger.
Goes. It just, the delete finger, not
you would never
the
see
finger.
any other finger in HP. I assure you that.
And I was thinking exactly what you're saying. So if you have these sort of circumstances, this is about revenue for the apps providers and producers. Yeah. If their apps are not up to snuff, if it's not what the user expects, and they delete it, the revenue opportunity is lost there, but the revenue opportunity is also lost further down the line, because, as you say, the star system, nobody in their right mind is going to download a 1-star or a 2-star app, 3-star app.
Absolutely right. And so, we have many examples of companies that we work with, like, for example, major airlines.
Yeah.
There's a major airline in the US that drives about 25% of their revenue through the mobile app. So they're selling about 60,000 plus tickets a day over the mobile app. And you can imagine if that thing's not available, not performing well, it has serious implications on the business. So we believe that these apps have really become revenue critical for the business, and we've talked about the brand as well.
Well, exactly. Come back to the brand. So this can actually taint a brand pretty quickly. Even if the brand's established and has got a good rep for other things, and for earlier apps, this can have a very quick effect.
It can have a quick effect, because if they delete the app, you're gone from their ecosystem, so to speak. Yeah. And so the brand is tarnished.
So I take it the companies want to do something about this.
Absolutely. So before I go there, we talked about performance, availability, but there are some other aspects that we found that are important for consumers these days. One of them is battery usage. So it used to be, when I walked around airports, which happens a lot, when I walked around airports, people were clustered in bars, right? If you look around today, I don't know if that's your experience as well, but they're clustered around power sources, right? And so power consumption of an app is a very critical aspect of that application experience. And if an app sucks too much battery, then that's a problem for the consumer. So there's some other aspects in availability and performance that we believe are critical for the consumer.
Do you have any other examples apart from power and batteries?
Power, battery, network consumption. If an app eats all their data plan, people say that's a problem, and I'm going to delete it. So going back to the brand and the revenue. Interesting,
as you mentioned, I was talking to a senior telecoms executive in a bar the other night, and he was saying when he comes here, rather than using his smartphone, the latest gizmos and everything else, he's got an old-fashioned one with a little orange screen so big, which makes phone calls perfectly. He doesn't do anything else, but he doesn't have to recharge it the entire time he's here. It holds all
day, yeah.
And you can't say that of a lot of modern phones.
That's absolutely right.
Okay, now, to come to the last question.
Right.
Obviously there's some very serious considerations for any business that's trying to execute a well-managed mobile strategy. What could be the impact, do you think, on a business that doesn't have a plan in place, or doesn't look at this critically and see that they need to do something about it and manage this user experience? And here I'm talking about, what does HP bring to the party to help in this regard?
Absolutely. So, as we've said it a few times now, revenue and brand. Okay. So what do you need to do? You need to provide a good user experience, and so that's where HP can help. We have solutions that help customers, the app providers, if you will, to figure out what is the user experience of the modern app out there in the hands of the consumer. And so looking at measuring that user experience, not just the network traffic or any of these technical things, but really end to end, from the swipe all the way to the back end and back. So we measure that. Then we look at this measurement in context of the user actions. In other words, how many users had problem on the deposit button, if you talk a mobile banking app as an example. And then finally, we help them to improve. Why? Because we allow the app owner to share the code fragments of where the app crashed, as an example, back with the developer, so that they can be swift in fixing that and making sure that there's no tarnishing of the brand.
Absolutely fascinating stuff. Christoph Pfister, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martin.